Hello again, everyone. I'm Father Joe Nassel from Sonino Mission House in Berkeley, and welcome to the third day of our Autumn Triduum. Today we celebrate the Feast of All Souls. You know, when I'm home to visit Mom in St. Louis, we will often go to the cemetery where my dad and my sister Mary and my brother Ed are buried, along with my grandparents and other relatives. Mom often touches the tombstones after a brief prayer and says how much she misses our deceased loved ones. My brother died 34 years ago. For my sister, it will be 11 years later this month. And for my dad, December 7th marks the 7th anniversary of his death. We still miss them, and that is how it should be. I recall a poet once reflecting on the death of his friend, and he had taken his friend to the train station. They didn't know it then, but it would be the last time they would see one another. And upon hearing of his friend's death, the poet recalled how the friend was waving and leaning over the back rail of the train as the train was leaving the station. His friend shouted something like, "When we're dead, we shall have the sensation of having enjoyed life together, whatever has happened to us." And as the distance between them widened, the poet saw his friend leaning out into space so that his voice should reach them. The voices of the souls of those who've gone before us, those who've left the station for the train, on the train to glory, lean across the miles today to reach us and remind us that they're okay. Our prayers connect us with them, bending an ear, lending a hand, and trusting they're now enjoying the eternal banquet of love. This is what we celebrate during this month of November. We remember the dead who continue to brush our lives with their love. We remember the dead to keep their spirit alive. We remember the dead because we believe in life. We remember all the souls who survive in our minds and memories, souls that taught us and nurtured us and challenged us and comforted us. Our souls are linked, and this connection cuts through death's facade and fosters life. In his book, Essays After 80, the poet Donald Hall wrote about death. At some point in my 70s, he writes, death stopped being interesting. I no longer checked out ages in obituaries. Earlier, he writes, I was 51 and the cadaver was 53. For a moment, I felt anxious. And if the dead man was 51 and I was 53, I felt relief. If a person lives into old age, he continues, there's a moment when he or she becomes the eldest in the family, perched on top of the hill as night rises. A decade ago, he said he went to the emergency room when he fell and hurt himself. He said it was no big deal, but the resident doctor dropped by and they chatted. When I asked him about my blood pressure numbers, he said, the doctor said I had nothing to worry about. How many years do you want to live anyway? And without thinking, Hall told the doctor, grabbing a number out of the air, I want to live till 83. So when he turned 84 on his 84th birthday, Hall said he was quietly relieved. Donald Hall died on June 23rd, 2018, at the age of 89. He continued to write until the last, publishing an essay called The Poetry of Death in the New Yorker shortly before he died. And I think the Feast of All Souls reminds us, as the late Steve Jobs said, death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it. And that is as it should be, because death, he said, is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. So today we hold in the unlimited space of our hearts those who've gone before us in faith, who have taught us not to be afraid, and have shown us how to love one another and care for one another, how to live with a hope in a world that is too often on the edge of despair. May we take courage from the verse from the book of wisdom that is etched on my brother Ed's tombstone. The souls of the just are in the hand of God, and no torment shall touch them. Eternal rest granted to them, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon them. May all our loved ones rest in the peace of God's love and grace, and may we always meet in memory and in hope. God bless you. Take good care, and blessings to you and your family.